Okay, friends, so why would someone not be able to lose weight or be gaining weight if they are in a calorie deficit? And there's so many different reasons, but I want to start by talking about your liver. And your liver is something that we really don't take enough care of, and it can get tired and toxic, not just by the food that we're consuming, but sometimes it's the food. Like a lot of fructose is really bad for the liver. And where do you find fructose? Well, you find it in fruit. You find it in
Honey.
Gatorade. Yeah, if you look at like sugar is like 50% glucose and 50% sucrose and fructose. Agave is 90% fructose. So if you think like, I don't eat any sugar, but you do all the agave or honey is about 65% fructose. Those things are really bad for your liver. But besides food, everything you put on your skin goes into your bloodstream and can affect your liver health. So this is why I'll see teenagers with fatty liver. They're not drinking alcohol, or at least they say they're not. No, they're really not. But when I was looking into why are these teenagers that I'm working with getting fatty liver, well, it could have been the Gatorade, it could have been
The sugar
the
is part of it.
sodas, but they had something in common. They were all swimmers on the swim team or lifeguards. And what that tells us is that if you're hanging out in a chlorinated pool or hot tub a lot, that chlorine is just really not good for your
Getting
liver.
absorbed into your system the longer you sit in it, and
Yeah.
cause bloat on the liver.
I was a swimmer in high school, and we spent hours in the morning before school swimming and practicing, and hours in the afternoon. We were in that chlorine a lot. So that's just something to think about. But not just, so say you don't swim, but everything, if you're using topical chemicals, makeup, lotions, potions, all of those things are going to get into your bloodstream. And I just don't think we're aware. Like, I love my mom. Love you, Nancy. However, we were discussing like why some people get cancer even though they eat super healthy, and I was like, well, there's more to it, Mom. A lot of it is the chemicals around us. As I'm looking at the scented candles and the scent sprays in her bathroom, and the fake potpourris and all of these things, dryer sheets, fabric softeners,
Perfumes.
all of these things that are just, we're just living in a chemical storm.
World,
Yeah. So just be aware that all of those things can and will affect you. It really bothers me when I see people hanging out at the beach. Oh, we didn't say, hey, we're in Africa. We're in South Africa. We were at Singita, which is one of the top hotels in the world. It's pretty fantastic. And when we first got here the other day, there were lions and their cubs.
Came up to drink at this drinking hole right
So
here.
if we see something, I'll move over. It was right there. So sorry, I'm like blocking the way. Yeah. Anyway, that's kind of cool.
Hey everyone, we are on a little safari here in Africa, and I got a little friend right behind me here, eating some grass and some trees. He's not a carnivore, but if you are, it's great to keep your electrolytes up, and especially when you travel, if you keep your electrolytes up, it really helps. I actually personally find I don't go number 2 as often if I don't bring my electrolytes on along when I travel. I'll go 2-3 days without, but Element is great for travel. It's easy to pack. We really like it. And if you go to drinkelement.com, oh, watch out, slash Keto Maria, you can get a free sample pack with order. So check it out, drinkelement.com slash Keto Maria, and get a free sample pack with any order.
So where was I going with that?
So we're on the liver and the toxins, and
Yeah,
it's one
but
of the big things that can stall people.
It really can.
Hidden things.
So, like we are very particular about, we have a really helpful shopping guide that's free for you guys to use. And everything on it is like super healthy, doesn't have
I'll
chemicals.
put a link up here to it.
Yeah, if you go to ketomaria.com, it's like the first link on there, but check that out. But so be aware of your liver, and there's some liver cleansing supplements that you could use. Milk thistle, there's a couple different other ones that are really helpful. It's on the shopping guide, the one that I like. And it's kind of like good to just get that out, because if you have a tired and toxic liver, you usually have poor moods and your thyroid suffers. And it's interesting, in Chinese medicine, when someone has depression, the first thing they'll look at is the health of the liver. because that's really going to affect our mood. So doing it like a nice little liver cleanse is just helpful. And don't do the liver cleanse that like Beyonce does with honey and lemon juice. That's just, no, don't do that. That's just going to cause more issues. But that's where that comes into play. There's other things that affects the liver. I'm just trying to just think about all the stuff around you.
Everything you put on your skin,
golf course,
everything around you, in
hanging
the
out on a
environment.
golf course,
Lots of things.
toxic. Yeah, so it's not just what you're putting in your body, it's what you're putting on your body or hanging out on, around, things like that. Yeah?
I was going to say, one of the next big hidden things, and this actually came as a question from one of our members for our group coaching on ketoadapted.com. And I'll put a link up here. If you want to be on our group coaching calls where we talk like this about issues and
Every week.
Answer people's questions like this, you can go ahead and click the link and find out.
Live.
But yeah, live every week we have group coaching calls, and one of the questions that somebody asked was about menopause and weight gain.
Who was it, Carrie?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can't remember.
So yeah, there's a big issue when some people say, "Oh, that's just because you're not moving as much." No, there's really an issue of weight gain that happens with menopause, and there's a very definite reason. So there's 3 different types of estrogen that the body produces. There's one only when you're pregnant. I'm not talking about that. The second one is a healthy estrogen that you want. It's from our ovaries. It gives us youthful skin, youthful glow, healthy bones, healthy cardiovascular system. This is the estrogen that you want. There's the third type of estrogen that comes from your fat cells that you don't like. It's usually around that belly fat area. And this is that unhealthy estrogen that comes from soy, alcohol. Oh, alcohol affects the liver. Like, we should have talked about that. Like,
we can get that next.
We'll talk about alcohol next. But things that would affect that estrogen that even men, like you see a man with a big beer belly. It's not a beer belly. It's an estrogen belly because alcohol converts into it causes your estrogen to go up like by 300% after only 2 drinks. 2 glasses of wine can cause your estrogen. And what happens is that bad estrogen goes up, the progesterone lowers, and this is why you can maybe fall asleep after you have some wine before bed, but you tend to wake up and have really poor sleep because you have that estrogen dominance going on. And that's why I get like a lot of kickback, like, oh, estrogen, I need estrogen. I'm not talking about that. Like, yeah, you want the good estrogen, but there's also an estrogen dominance that you notice it with the belly fat. Sometimes you get migraines. There's a lot of different side effects that can happen, but most often, so anyway, with menopause, your ovaries are no longer putting out the estrogen and progesterone that they once did. So what happens is your thyroid, your body's brilliant, people. Your thyroid will slow so you can put on more fat because your fat cells make estrogen. They can have estrogen. So you put on that belly fat, you have estrogen from your fat rather than your ovaries, and your body doesn't really care. It's happy that way. But that's why your thyroid will slow and your metabolism will slow with menopause. This is why if you are a candidate, I'm a very big proponent of bioidentical hormones. They make them just for you. I don't recommend the pellets because, well, first of all, they're not FDA approved. And second of all, it's very hard to control your personal levels. Like, it might be way too much for you the first 3 months. That's how long they last. But they do a cream. They match it to your body. If you need testosterone, which you probably do. Interesting thing about testosterone is I work a lot with fibromyalgia or people with chronic pain, and almost 90% of the time, the women who with chronic pain or fibromyalgia, it's because of low testosterone. And once they get on the testosterone, their chronic pain goes away. So, boom.
And another thing when they go into menopause is typically their cholesterol will go up because cholesterol makes all your sex hormones.
Yeah.
And so the body's trying to push up cholesterol to say, hey, give me some more cholesterol to make more sex hormones.
So don't be afraid if your doctor's like, oh, your cholesterol levels look terrible. Say, I want a calcium score, a CSC score, rather than just looking at cholesterol. Because, yeah, when your ovaries are no longer put out estrogen and progesterone and your testosterone's bad, your cholesterol will go up to try to make them. It's not going to. Yeah. But that low testosterone will cause muscle loss, which that gives your body less places for glucose to go, which will cause, more insulin resistance. And that too, when you are low in estrogen, you are more insulin resistant. And that's a bad thing, especially with caffeine, because we'll get to coffee next, but you're going to be more sensitive to the effects of caffeine, because caffeine is going to make you less insulin sensitive, which is a bad thing. That's what you don't want. So you're going to be more sensitive to coffee, caffeine, alcohol. You get more sensitive to everything, carbohydrates, just because you don't have those hormones to balance everything out.
So anything else on menopause?
Well, I guess we can go on and on about menopause, but
can you still lose weight?
Yeah, you can totally still lose weight, and you don't have to do bioidenticals, but you're definitely going to have to cut those carbohydrates out. You're definitely going to have to cut the alcohol out.
And get a little stricter with the diet, right? Because the process of ovulation actually it burns calories. So you're actually
about 300
when you stop
calories.
ovulating.
Yeah, when you stop ovulating, you burn about 300 less calories a day, and when you do the math, that adds up to 10 pounds a year. That's big, It just adds and adds and adds. And usually your moods are a bit lower when you have low estrogen, testosterone. You don't have that motivation to do things, and so that just culminates with maybe not doing your exercise or moving your body or not cooking healthy food. So don't blame yourself. It is not your fault if you are not feeling motivated, things like that, because you will feel good again if you look into, maybe some natural supplements. I help people with those that don't want to do bioidenticals, if you're interested in those. But yeah, there's a lot of complicated issues with menopause that can cause the weight gain. So we covered liver health.
Yep.
We talked about menopause.
So let's talk about alcohol.
Alcohol. This is my favorite topic. I used to drink. I haven't had alcohol for 16 years now. And the reason is I just learned way too much about it. You always talk about oxidative priority, which you could probably expand on.
So oxidative priority is this process in which the body prioritizes fuels as they're coming in. So us sitting here, we're not moving. The entire blood volume of both of us has maybe 80 to 100 calories of total fuel in the entire blood volume. So that's all the glucose, all the ketones, all the free fatty acids in the entire blood volume is only 80, 100 calories, something like that. That's not a lot. So when you eat a meal that's 500 or 800 calories, the body, that's a lot of fuel coming in. It's got to prioritize and store fuels or burn fuels in a certain priority. The priority it uses, you can think of one of two ways. Either reverse order of toxicity or reverse order of storage. And when you think of it that way, alcohol has zero storage and is the most toxic, really. It doesn't take a lot of alcohol to kill you in the bloodstream. The next priority is carbohydrates. Ketones, if you take them externally.
Exogenous ketones.
But
Don't
we'll
take
just skip that. Carbohydrates, which again, a blood glucose that's too high will kill you. And there's a little bit of storage, right? There's your muscle and liver, but not a lot. Maybe 2,000 calories total. Then there's protein, which isn't really used as a fuel. It's only used as a fuel when there's no other fuel available on the body or in the diet. And then that leaves you with fat. And fat, you'd have to have really high levels of fat in the blood to become toxic. And there's a lot of places to store it, right? There's your fat cells, even for a lean athlete who's 10% body fat, he might have 20, 30,000 calories of fat on his body. So there's always a lot of storage for fat. So oxidative priority will dictate that if you drink alcohol and eat a burger and fries and all this other stuff, all that other stuff's going to get shoved away into storage because it's got to burn the alcohol first, because there's no place to store it and it can kill you. So the body's got to burn it off, and while it's burning off the alcohol, all the other fuels just get put away in storage.
But besides that point, so maybe you don't drink but your husband drinks or vice versa. This is what I really want to hammer home. So I was talking about how alcohol really converts into estrogen. It increases estrogen by 300%. And this is why it's a really bad idea. A lot of people, I used to go to the gym. I work out at home now. But I would go to the gym and everybody would be there on Friday morning working out really hard because they're going to get their drink on Friday night. That's the worst combination, because you break down your muscles as you're working out, and then you repair them as you rest. So let's break down our muscles and then drink alcohol, because it's such a terrible combination, because it lowers testosterone for up to 24 hours. So you lower that testosterone, which you need to repair those muscles. And so you wake up Saturday morning with less muscle than you had on Friday, because you didn't give it the proper nutrients to repair itself.
And hormone balance.
And hormone balance. Let's see, what else about alcohol? It turns into sugar in the body. I mean, it's,
Yeah, it's if you want to lose weight,
alcohol.
You gotta cut alcohol.
Yeah, just do it for a couple months.
If you're serious about losing weight, the alcohol has to go.
Yeah, so like the glass of wine every night or whatever it is, it's just not helpful. Oxidative priority and the hormone balance thing.
Exactly.
So that's number 3.
Yeah.
Number 4, how about we talk about coffee? I know, don't hate the messenger. I worked at a coffee shop since I was 15 years old. It was one of my favorite jobs, except for this one. I just loved it. But I had an IV of mochas in my arm. I loved coffee. It was the hardest thing for me to give up. But caffeine increases androgens, and in a female body, too many androgens is what causes PCOS. So that's something, if you know anybody with PCOS, excess caffeine, sugar, and carbohydrates are the 3 things you really want to cut out. But caffeine, coffee in general, will increase your blood sugar on average about 8%. Doesn't seem like a lot, but what it does is, I noticed this when I used to drink it. I would be hungry, and then I would have a cup of coffee, and my hunger would go away, right? That's why I think a lot of people like it.
Yeah, and we've got a lot of followers that have tested this out and tried it out, and they tell us when they don't have the coffee, even one person had decaffeinated coffee, no cream or anything in it, she definitely noticed more hunger during the day than when she didn't have the coffee.
Because when you drink it, it takes the hunger away, but eventually you stop drinking it, which will cause your blood sugar to drop.
I believe it's messing with the fuel supply in the bloodstream, and this also is something you'll see if you're getting a cholesterol lab done. Do not drink coffee, even just plain black coffee, before the labs, because a lot of people, it'll raise triglycerides significantly, like 100 points. So I think what coffee is doing in a lot of people is it's messing with blood sugar and fat in the blood, and then as it comes back into normal, you get hungry, because the insulin's going to say, okay, we got to bring this back to normal.
Yeah, so that's what that does, and it also makes you less insulin sensitive. So that's just a whole nother thing. It also, causes gastroparesis. We have a whole post about that.
Yeah.
Like, don't hate the messenger, people, but it's true. And we have a free, Facebook group that you can join if you want to. But people are like, they are stuck. They're stuck. All they change is cutting out the coffee, and boom, 3 pounds in a week. And it's just kind of continues to fall off when they cut it out. But I just feel, look, this energy is just on no caffeine at all.
And
what?
Sorry, I was going to segue to the next one, if that's okay. Or you want to finish?
Go for it.
Okay. On that point, one of the things that coffee can really help with too is to get better sleep. And better sleep might be the biggest hidden issue with weight loss.
Totally was. It was for me. I would wake up early to work out before I would go to my job. And I was putting on weight like a banshee, and I was running like so many hours a day. It was unreal, putting on weight. I was like, what is going on? And I was eating really well, but I was not sleeping and totally overtraining. Sleep is so important. What it does is it repairs all of your hormones, basically. If you get about 6 hours of sleep of chronic, sleep deprivation, only 6 hours, it's been proven that your blood sugars are raised on average. Do you remember the percentage?
Yeah, well, I know the study on
the Army
Rangers. It was, I believe, they went from 8 hours, I think they cut it in half, to 4 hours for like 1 or 2 weeks. In that 1 or 2 weeks, their insulin resistance doubled. No diet changes, nothing, just halving their sleep.
Yeah, and they still are very active.
Yeah, and so sleep is one of the most important things. You will find, and I see it in me, if I get a bad night of sleep, I can eat everything in sight the next day. drives hunger big time.
Yeah, I eat the same thing still, but I could eat twice as much because I'm just extra hungry. If we are out late at a wedding or a party or something like that, and I hear that all the time with summer versus winter. Winter time, it's dark out at 4 p.m. People are going to sleep at a decent time. In the summer, there's parties every night. There's, music in the park, whatever. Even on a weeknight, you're out late, you're up early for work. It's just a chronic snowball of poor sleep, a lot of alcohol in the summertime too at those parties. That in combination of lack of sleep, and that's the easiest thing to do. Just prioritize sleep. Even here, I'm prioritizing sleep. We're up at like 4:30 for a game drive to check out the animals. So my eyes are shut at 8 p.m.
Yep. And then one other thing related to this as well is to help, not only help with sleep, but also help with human growth hormone, is to make sure that you don't eat anything at least like 3 hours before bed.
Yeah.
Human growth hormone rises after you fall asleep to its highest point of the day. And can you want to talk about what that does for the body?
Hormone manipulation is huge when it comes to weight loss, and the human growth hormone is that youth hormone that everybody wants to stay high. I don't take human growth hormone, people. You want it to raise naturally, and the largest surge of human growth hormone is about 30 minutes after you fall asleep. But its antagonist is insulin. Yeah. So even if you eat pure fat, insulin will go up some, and it will shunt. It's like a teeter-totter. It will shunt that human growth hormone from rising. This is also why I like to work out in the morning on an empty stomach, because that second largest surge is with a really tough workout. You don't have to work out for an hour, but you get some good weight training in for 20 minutes right when you wake up. That's a great second time to get that human growth hormone high. So I think that's a whole nother one, human growth hormone.
Yeah,
sleep and human growth hormone. There's probably some others that we haven't thought of.
I'm trying to think if there's anything
There's
else.
mold, there's illnesses
yeah.
that are just hidden that you can't find. I will say that most thyroid tests, here's the thing, when you get a thyroid test, or the doctor's like, oh, you're normal. When I look at the labs, every lab around the country is different numbers. Why? Because that lab is taking the median of the numbers that they're getting. And who's going to labs? Sick people.
Yeah.
So automatically the median is skewed to be for
sicker population.
Sicker population.
And they're eating standard American diet, which may not be the same numbers as somebody eating a healthier whole foods diet.
Yeah. So that's just another thing. I like to look at the labs and say, like, X, Y, and Z is off, even though your doctor says it's not. And you can do just simple things like maybe you need some zinc, selenium, different things like that. So just don't take them blindly, though, because if you just take zinc, you're going to get nauseous. It feels like you have the flu. It's awful, but I can help you, step you through on how to take that.
So those are the top hidden things that will hold back weight loss, and that you should address if you're getting things right, macros and whatnot, and you're not seeing the results.
And find a community that is going to support you on this journey, because I think that's the biggest downfall, is when people are trying to sabotage you, or you don't have someone building you up and supporting you through this hard changes, because they are hard. Cutting out alcohol, getting enough sleep, you need a support system to make sure that you're taking care of yourself.
Weekly group coaching calls are just great for that.
Awesome. So thanks, everybody. Too bad no animals came, but all right. See you guys.
Bye.
When I was 16 years old, I was diagnosed with PCOS, acid reflux, depression, and IBS. Instead of taking those prescription drugs, I decided to change my life with food. Yes, food healed me, and it's healed so many of my clients over the past 20 years of working with people. If you are interested in transforming your life, check out KetoMaria.com. I'd be honored to help you.